Okay, let's get going. Thank you to everyone for joining today. We're finally going to get to live building in ServiceNow Studio. So we will do a quick recap of, just how we got there here. We talked about different types of applications and how to structure the data. And so that's really what we're going to focus on today is utilizing ServiceNow Studio to build around some of these concepts. And then we'll also look at how they benefit us, right? Because, we've talked about different ways to model data. And so now we'll see that in action, how basically easy it is to build, but then also how it can really allow for um, much richer reporting and different ways to group information and get a perspective of what's happening overall for the department that we're going to build this app for. And so please, we have plenty of time. I didn't pack what we're going to build in today. This is the first time I'm live building in ServiceNow Studio. So if you have any questions or comments, please just raise your hand and we'll get you off mute. But again, thank you to everyone for joining, and let's get started. As always, we may be making some forward-looking statements. We'll identify if something is on the roadmap and not currently in the product. And so, we always encourage you not to make buying decisions based on that. But we're really going to be talking about concepts in the platform. So we're not really expecting any of these today. And so this academy is part of the Live at ServiceNow event series. So there's a lot of information. I know I've been watching the one on process mining. It's really good. And so there's lots of content available for you. And so please definitely check out all of the Live on ServiceNow events. Just some housekeeping. As always, we'll have some time for the Q&A, but like I said, if you have a question or comment, just please raise your hand and we'll get you off of mute. We'll also, I'll try and keep an eye on the Q&A. It's a little bit difficult doing that and presenting, but I'll do the best I can here. Please fill out the survey, and this content will be recorded and available for you in the future. Okay, so let's get going. Today we're going to start switching from PowerPoint only and talking about concepts to live building in ServiceNow, and so it's ServiceNow Studio. And so we'll briefly take a look at some of the concepts and the capabilities in ServiceNow Studio. Andrew Barnes, another product manager on my team, who knows it very well, talked about it specifically. So we really don't want to dive too deeply into what ServiceNow Studio is and what it does, but it's certainly a great step forward. And so it connects, kind of an IDE experience with all of the different builders in the platform where you don't have to hop around as much to different tabs in the browser. So it's really good, and we're going to be using that to build. And then we also have some time for Q&A. Okay, so we want to get to the platform as quickly as possible, but I did want to just kind of recap, what we're going to be building from a conceptual standpoint, and then the different options for data modeling. I'm going to be showing the multi-level hierarchy option, but we did talk about a number of different ways to model data for an application like this, where we're targeting a department. And there's really no wrong way. They're all perfectly fine to do. We talked about the pros and cons of each of them. And when we're building today, we're really going to focus on the ability, if we introduce a hierarchy to our data model, how we can either report from a coarse grain level, where we can look at all of the different workflows for this department, and also to fine grain level if we only wanted to look at a specific one. So, the structure that we're going to be looking at is really around this concept of a mini application for a department, or kind of a service desk style application. And so, we have the sort of the heart of what ServiceNow does is this request fulfill opportunity, where users can come onto the service portal or mobile or a conversational interface and engage and make a request into the system and realize value from the system, whether that's through automation, structured work, people doing things on their behalf. And so that's really kind of the primary focus of this type of application. And that's okay if maybe the application of this is if you want to start small initially, if you don't want to introduce these other workflows where we can allow our requesters, right, these users of the application to also make inquiries and issues around this service delivery work stream. And so, the important thing, again, to reiterate is, what we really don't want is, one, to build an application like this where something already exists out of the box, right? If there's a product workflow that accomplishes this same goal, we really don't want that. And so, if we're involved with IT service delivery around ITIL concepts, where we're resolving customer issues, where, one of those capabilities naturally fit into one of those core products, we're not making a recommendation to build a custom app. But on the other side of that, what we also don't want is to basically overutilize one of those out of the box applications or something that should be built custom. And so, historically, there's been a lot of kind of angst and issues with over customization, with introducing technical debt, with introducing issues with platform upgrades. And really, what we're looking to do here doesn't really fit into any of those issues. And so that's something that we really want to dispel here. And the reason why is because we're going to be extending task table, because we're going to be utilizing lower level capabilities of the platform. Those are much more stable, right? Because all of the other product workflows, so much of the platform relies on those. And so utilizing those is different than, maybe extending incident and changing it, because there's going to be more activity and more development and, more built-in functionality around those. So definitely want to, really address the fact that what we're doing here is not over configuring the platform and creating issues downstream. All right. So let's just do a quick recap of the data model options and then off to ServiceNow Studio. Right. So, this was the first option we talked about in November. And this is really the simplest option where we take tasks, right? We're talking about units of work, things that people do. So we always want to extend the task table. But then we're going to basically put all of the different attributes that are relevant to the marketing, service requests, inquiries, and issues all into the same table. And so, I don't really want to kind of recap everything that we talked about last time, but, there's definitely pros and cons to this. And, this introduces some complexity because depending on the context of this request, we might want to show information at different times. So very low as far as custom table utilization, but an increase in the things that need to occur to really make a tailored experience for our end users. The second option, just to review, is splitting it into different tables. So each of the different workflows will go to the different tables. And this can be better because now we can align the fields to what we're looking to accomplish with these different workflows in these different tables. And that's great. But the problem is that it can be challenging. It is possible, but it can be challenging if we want to understand what is occurring at this marketing department as a whole, right? So if we want to see, okay, we want to see these open requests, we want to see these open inquiries, but we also want to see all of these different work streams and the different statuses that they're in. This makes it a little more challenging to do that, even though it is possible. But here you'd have to report on the task table and then filter it based on these different task types. So it is possible, but it just makes, it just introduces more technical hurdles to getting the reporting and kind of the grouping and the access we want. And so the approach that we're going to be using today when we hop to ServiceNow Studio in just a second is where we're introducing this intermediate table that allows us to report off of this marketing task, where if we report off of that, all of the child records will also exist. And so we can basically get all of the different child records and report off all of them in aggregate, in total. And then what we can also do, though, is if we were only interested in requests, then we could report off of that table as well. And so I'm talking about this in the reporting context, but there's just so many benefits around, organizing ACLs and groups and permissions, walking up and down this hierarchy. There's a lot of kind of latent benefits that are introduced by this for this as well. And we want to be careful to not overcomplicate the inheritance structure. But, a lot of times, if we have a huge diversity in the different types of marketing requests, maybe we extend that table too, right? Because what we can do now is include everything that is in common with the parent table, but then specialize to the child table. So that allows us to, again, have just more hooks, more different ways to kind of organize and access this, all of this information. So with that said, let's review what we're going to build today, and then finally get to ServiceNow Studio. And so I think this going forward, we do want to introduce more architectural concepts, but now that we've done some of the scaffolding and kind of the stand-up for how we want to think about the data and the solutioning and the different applications, it will be more time in platform. So like everyone wants to see. Okay, so let's just talk about what we're going to build today. And what I tried to do is minimize the amount of clicks and things that that everyone's going to have to watch me go through, and really kind of maximize how we can demonstrate all of these different concepts. And so I did go through in ServiceNow Studio and just create a shell of an app, so you don't have to watch me click through that. That can take several minutes, but it's an empty application. And so what we're going to do, though, is we're going to create that intermediate table, that parent table for all of our marketing tasks. Then we're going to extend it for each of the workflows for the requests, inquiries, and issues. And then just to kind of demonstrate this example is we're going to modify the state field. And so, to me, that's really important because, and you'll see what this allows us to do is introduce, different states that are specific to these different workflows. And so you can imagine, fulfilling a request is going to be probably different than the steps that are required to remediate an issue. And so we'll be utilizing the state field, and that's how we're going to be able to, when we go to step 4, is use reporting to view all of this aggregate information. That's how we're going to be able to demonstrate kind of the power of creating that additional table in the hierarchy. And then finally, for this build session, what we'll do is generate a workspace and customize the dashboard for around some of these concepts, right? Because, really what we want for these types of applications is to create an experience that's specific to these users, right? Because a lot of times what we have is, if you can imagine a marketing department, what they're not going to be doing is logging into the ServiceNow platform every day, learning how to manipulate a list view, learning how to really get to the information that they're looking for. And so what we really want is to be able to create a window into, what is their team doing? What are they looking to accomplish? We want to make this as easy as possible for them, right? Because what we're always trying to do is realize value, drive adoption, and help all of these different users have a great experience. And so, workspaces and this being able to display the information in a way that's useful to this department is really important. Because, we'll talk to customers and they'll struggle with adoption, and, we'll hear Our users are frustrated because they can't find what they want, or everything looks the same. And, a lot of times for someone that doesn't really understand the ServiceNow platform and kind of the power in, in the platform UI, it's very difficult for them to, see a list view and a form view and understand one, how can I filter and sort this and group it in a way that's useful to me, but also, you know, be able to understand that even though these lists and forms look very similar, that what we're dealing with is a different process in a different workflow. And so we did want to just show very quickly how to do this. And so the great thing about this, though, is all of this is no code. And one of the things that we certainly have seen with UI Builder, it's gotten a lot better. I really like it. Is that it's a different skill set, right? So it's different than understanding how to configure the platform. It's different than understanding the service portal and how record producers and custom widgets work. And so, we'll just kind of look very quickly about how easy it is to create a view that could be useful for this segment of users. So with that being said, let's hop to ServiceNow Studio. And so I think this should be okay on Zoom because I just switched out of the full screen view of from PowerPoint, but someone just make a comment if you can't see it. And so what I did, just to save a little bit of time, I just basically created, thank you for the thumbs up, I created just a shell of an application. And, today isn't the day where we want to talk about Now Assist. But one of the things that we will get to is how you can use Now Assist for Creator and GenAI tools to really accelerate your workflow. And so this is basically this really awesome connection between these generative AI capabilities and ServiceNow Studio. And that's just one skill, right? One capability we have, and they're going to keep getting better and keep getting more integrated. And so we will certainly take a look at how to utilize all of the Now Assist for Creator to, there's so many benefits to it, right? To accelerate your development if you're an experienced developer, to if you have people on the team that aren't as experienced, it can really kind of flatten the learning curve and help them accomplish more sophisticated things on the platform faster. And so we will talk about Now Assist, but today, we're going to focus on this marketing app. And so you'll see that I am in ServiceNow Studio, which just went to GA last month. And so this is available to everyone. And so anyone who has a platform entitlement can access it. And you can see here, one of the things that's really cool is that, I'll just say, the number one thing that everyone's excited about is you can edit across scopes, right? So it'll automatically manage the different scopes and the different update sets. So that in itself is awesome. But, really one of the things that I like about it is it kind of introduces this IDE concept, but it shows you the right builder at the right time, right? So if you are editing JavaScript, it'll show you this, the builder for the JavaScript. You'll see here that we're going to actually be using builders that are specific to App Engine. And so, that's one cool thing about Studio is that, everyone has access to it. But if you have an App Engine entitlement, then you have basically additional capabilities that we'll be using to build and interact tables very quickly. And so if you don't have an App Engine entitlement, it will look a little bit different, but you'll basically be utilizing a platform builder for the equivalent functionality, not one of the App Engine specific builders. So let's get going. So the first thing what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new file. And you'll see what's really cool about this. And you can see I basically just created the shell of the app. Nothing exists yet. And so it automatically is identifying the application. So it's going to set the right scope. Even if I had different applications open, it manages that all for me. So really awesome. Just that in itself is huge. And so what we're going to do now is if you think about that data structure, we're going to extend task and create this intermediate table. And so this is really where all the magic happens, because now what we can do is report off that the intermediate table get access to all of our child tables, but then also report on our child tables individually. And we'll look at, how kind of powerful that is to see what's happening at the departmental level. So let's just create a blank table. And so, I'm going to extend task here, right? Because what this is the parent table for all of our department tasks. And so this is, one of the very important tables for this structure. And so I'm just going to say task, right? And so the important thing is here, we want to make this extensible because that's, this is what we're going to be extending. So I'm just going to say more task, right? So let's just create this table here. And the great thing about, the App Engine builder here is it just kind of guides us through a number of things that are our best practices where we can associate the different roles. It'll create all of the different ACLs as well. And so just for expediency here, I'm just going to allow the admin full rights, and then the users, the fulfillers, they will have everything but the lead. So let's just add this table. And then we need to add the 3 other tables, right, associated with the requests, the inquiries, and the issues. So I'm just going to do that. Let's create the. Okay. So here we go with the table. And so the first one is the marketing request. And so the important thing, again, is what we're extending is this marketing task here, right? And so we're going to extend that intermediate table. And this, again, what I'd mentioned before, you can consider a more complex hierarchy where if there was just this huge variety in different data elements associated with different types of marketing requests, you could make this table extensible and then extend it again for each of those requests. That's really an advanced topic, though. So, maybe if there's interest, we can kind of talk about that down the road. But I think at least for now, we'll just keep it relatively flat where we just have the one intermediate table. And I'm just going to make this a request here. We'll just get through this part as quickly as we can. But what I'm also going to do, though, is I'm going to go into the data view of this builder and just insert a couple of records so we have some information to report on. So let's go in and edit the table. So this is the table builder view. All right, so let's find the state field. And just go in and edit the state field. All right, and so one of the things that I really like about the table builder is you can see here that right now, these are just passed through from the task table. We haven't modified these. But, one is a best practice. We want to create, we want to align the different states for how the marketing department is going to provide their services and, remediate the issues and respond to inquiries. But also, this is just a great example when we look at organizing the information, we'll be able to view the different stage for the different types of tasks. So I'm just going to add just something very specific so we know that this is a request, right? So this is request 1. And then just to keep all of these separate, what I'm going to do is anything in the request is going to be 100, inquiries 200, and then issues 300. So I'm just going to add 2 here. Actually, I'll add 3 of these. 2, and then let's just add 1 more for a request. And you'll see here that we can drag and drop them and order them. That isn't really important for what we're looking at today. But what's great now is we can see that we're specializing this to this request. And so, I mean, certainly this can be done in the platform, but I really like the idea that it will basically guide you and help you understand exactly what we're doing with this data. So let's switch though to the spreadsheet view, because we just want to populate this table with a couple records so we have some information to report off of. So I'm just going to add a couple records very quickly. I'm going to do request one, right? And then just so we can have more information to report off, I'm just going to say this is critical. Okay, and then let's just add one more where we can have, I'm going to say this is high, and then this is going to be request two. Okay, and so that should be plenty. And then, actually, see, how are we doing on time? We talked about 3 tables, right? But I'm just going to add one more because that'll give us enough information to report off and kind of demonstrate this concept. So the other one I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the inquiry table. We'll skip the issue table. And just how awesome is this, right? Like I mean, I just love the new studio, just because it's so much faster, right? It's just, we don't have to hop around. And so, so definitely an upgrade from a build perspective. Okay, so let's create a blank table. Again, we're going to extend the marketing task table. And then this is going to be marketing inquiry. Auto number it. Or INQ. All right, and so we'll need to do the same modifications to this table. And again, I'm just going to go through quickly here to create some reasonable permissions. Okay, so let's edit this table and then the same thing. Let's just modify the state and then insert a couple records, and then we can hop to reporting and see how all of this benefits us. So let's now go to the state, modify this. Edit, again, we can see we just have to pass through state so far. But let's do inquiry 1. And I'm just going to do a second one, inquiry 2. All right, so let's apply that. And then let's add some data, and then we can hop out of ServiceNow Studio and go to reporting. Actually, let's just add a couple records very quickly. I'm just going to assign some priorities here, some states that are specific to these different records. One more. Inquiry 2. Okay, so let's recap what we just did, right? We skipped the issue table, but beforehand, I went in and just basically created the shell of an app. It asked me a couple questions. It generated it. But what we did is we created, right, our intermediate table, and then 2 of the different child tables. So if we go to reporting now, let's just create a report, and we can just kind of look at some of the things that we can do now. And then we'll just look at a couple of these examples, and then hop back to the studio and generate a workspace and use kind of these report concepts for the workspace. So let's go to data marketing. And then I'm going to go to the table. And the important thing here is that what we want, or if we want to access, see, what did I name it? Oh. Okay. Okay, so if we wanted to report like in a traditional manner, we could certainly report directly off the inquiry and request. But what we really want here is to be able to see everything that's happening. So what we can do here is let's just look at this, and then I'm going to do a pie chart. Right, and so if we run this, that isn't what we want. But if we do the group by now, if we change this to state, right, you'll see here that even though we're reporting off of this parent table, what we're doing is we're getting all of the different tasks that are associated with marketing. You see here, there's inquiry one, there's request one, there's request two, and then inquiry one. And so this isn't particularly interesting, but what we can do if we go back and let's just modify this table here to do a bar chart. And so now what we can do is do things like organizing based on task type, right? So let's just run this. And so this gives us these two different tasks, but now we can start further partitioning this. So like, let's see, what did we do here? It was priority. So now we can look at task type, right? Organized by priority. And so what this allows us to do is essentially really give us a lens on the data for this department in a number of different ways, right? So we can report just like we normally would on inquiries, just like we normally would on requests, but now we can also move up a level and look and see what's happening at this at the department as a whole. So really good option. But let's see how we can instrument this for our users. It looks like we have a question here. I think we might have missed someone, but yes, so these recordings are, you can go onto the community and access them that way. They're also available on YouTube, so you can definitely get back to the recording. Okay, so now let's go in and generate a workspace, right? Because that's really what we want. We want to create a user experience that is specific to this this group of users, the people that are only going to be working on issues and inquiries and requests related to marketing. And so we want to make it specific to them. And so when they log in, they can immediately have this single pane of glass where they can get to all of the information that they need to view to see what's occurring, right? To look at tasks that aren't assigned or that are overdue or that are assigned to myself, right? So that's really what we want as an outcome for this user group. And so what we can do here now is let's just go in and create a workspace. All right, so here's a workspace. So I'm just going to generate this. And so the nice thing, again, this is specific to App Engine, but and so you don't necessarily have to use this, but this just makes it so much easier, right? And so what we can do is we can identify the URL for this workspace. So when these marketing department users log in, we can direct them directly to the lens of their day that we want to. And we can also set up the roles. And so one of the great things here is I'm just going to switch this to task. And then we also want the marketing inquiries, right? So we can set up the list views on the side. Everything's done for us. I'm just going to do this. And so this will create the skeleton of the workspace. So all of the different, the list views, the record views, the home pages, all of this is generated for us. And so, it's really this easy. So a lot of times people think, well, it's just so much work to structure an application like this. It's so much effort to create the workspace, but it can be really it really is a lot less work than people realize from a technical perspective here. And so let's see. So what I'm going to do is just preview this, and we'll just go and we'll very quickly. Oh, let's see, Mackenzie. Let's see if I can figure out how to get you off mute, Mackenzie. Hold on just a second. Okay, Mackenzie, you should be off mute. If you're talking, I think you're on mute. I made it so you could talk on the webinar though. Okay, well, let's just keep going. So what we have here is a workspace specific to the department, right? And so you'll see here, it set up all of the different lists. It set up the list views, but this view is not awesome. But what we can do now is take sort of the same concepts that we did in the report builder and now add it to this workspace. And so I'm just going to add one. And so I'm just going to make this a little bigger. I'm going to go in here and change this to, let's see what we want to do. So let's change this to a bar chart. Give it just a second to catch up. And so what I'm going to do here, active isn't very useful. So I'm just going to change this to task type. Apply this. Still not very useful, but what we can do now is add another group by. And so now let's just change this to state. Just neaten this up just a little bit. Okay, and so what we're doing here now is we're taking this workspace that's already specific to data relative to this marketing department, and then creating visualizations now that are very specific to what this marketing department needs to essentially see what's happening. So they can see we have two different marketing requests. These states don't really make a whole lot of sense. I named them so we could tell that they were associated with these different requests. But the nice thing is now they can drill through, click on that visualization and get directly to this request. So very easy way to create this data structure, to create this different states, right? Those are different milestones or different gates through the journey of servicing this request or responding to this inquiry. And then now we have is this really powerful option to think about, how can we look at, either one type of work stream, or how can we look at a very specific work stream. And actually, let's just add one more. So I'm just going to edit this. And so this one, we're working on the all of the different tasks that are related to this department. But, what we can still do is let's just change this. Let's just change this table to just inquiries. All right. Let's just change this to a donut. Now we can change the group by to priority, right? By this. And then these are inquiries. Right. So this is just an example where we can, either walk up the data hierarchy and view all of the different tasks associated with this department, or we can report off one specific task type. And so it really gives us kind of like the best of both options, right? And so we can certainly, this is just a simple example, but this is just, let's see. Okay, so Sindhu asked, you mentioned marketing users can be directed to this workspace on login. How can this be done? There's a number of different ways to do it. I mean, the most powerful way is modifying the SB login script, but you can really, associate this workspace with basically the default homepage when they log in. So a couple of different options. And then let's see what we have from a Q&A perspective. Okay, so that's all I had. Let's just recap though. What we did here is we took the concept of this departmental app where we're looking at an application that doesn't already exist for this user group. And so we wanted to utilize this workspace and this data model specific to this marketing department. And so based on that, we utilize this pattern for this service desk concept, or it's called a number of different things, a mini app, a departmental app, where we are introducing requests, but we're also utilizing the same capabilities to create these structured ways for our end users that are realizing value from the platform to interact with this group. And so we'll talk about EC Pro and how all that fits into taxonomies later. But essentially, we took that idea and then we created a data model that's specific to this marketing department. So we utilized one of a number of different options that we covered, right? Where in this case, we use this intermediate table. And the reason why we did, again, to recap, is what this allows us to do is report off of information that's specific to this marketing department in a number of different ways, right? Holistically, everything that's happening in this unassigned task section, but then also in a more traditional manner associated with one task or one work stream. So then we took that concept and we built a workspace that, I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time on this, but you can envision here how easy it is to create something that's useful to these marketing, these individuals in the marketing department. And because you see here, here's Sindhu, here's how we can say create a favorite for home, right? So because we can create a scenario where this is their primary view, it's much easier for someone to come in and basically view this dashboard that's specific to what they're looking to accomplish, and then click on it and still stay all in the same experience, right? So we created this report here, and that is good, right? It is good to create reports in this platform and options in the platform, right? That's what we want. But it still requires navigation, right? So if we were to publish this report and create a dashboard at the platform level, it's still going to move. There's browser navigation is going to occur. And so what we really want is to make this experience as simple as possible, fit for purpose, and as useful and as clear as we can for this group of people, right? Because they're not on the platform all the time. So that's all I had for today. Let's see if there are any questions. Let's see, with 3 Q&A. Yeah, do visualizations allow for drill through? Absolutely. If so, Peter asked this. And while I'm here, Shane, yes, this app example would consume 4 custom tables. That's right. So if you create a visualization with this dashboard builder, so if you click here, I'm going to see only this marketing inquiry with that state 2. So that automatically is all wired up. Probably in maybe the next session, I also want to cover creating a fully custom homepage, and there is a way to create a drill through with no code. But it does require some understanding of the different URLs in the workspaces. So so if you create this if you utilize the dashboard builder, absolutely drill through automatically. If you build the visualization custom in UIB, it is possible to do without code, but there's a little bit of configuration associated with that. All right, so I think we got through everything in the Q&A. Is there any other questions that anyone would like to come off of mute to talk about? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I know that everyone is extremely busy, so definitely appreciate your time. And If you're interested in additional feedback, please fill out the survey. I'm also available on LinkedIn if you'd like to directly connect about kind of some specific content. So thank you, Peter. I'm glad you found this helpful. So definitely appreciate it, and everyone have a good day. Thank you.